Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial. Today will mark the start of a series of 4 videos from chapter 4 on the section on the central cannon versus Greenhouse defense. Now these 4 bots are rather interesting. I love to play them as black a lot. It would deal mainly with very aggressive sacrificial play and how to gain upper hand in these situations, and I believe that these 4 bots will be a very good introduction to the concepts of space, the concept of speed, etc. in the development in the opening phase. Again, I would like to express my thanks to Master Wenqing and Grandmaster Zhang for allowing me to use their work to produce these videos. So without further ado, let us begin. Central cannon. Now, Red will develop his right chariot as a foul chariot, Greenhouse defense, and Red will go for the P7+1 variation. Black will counter likewise, and in this board, Red will continue going on with the pawn rank chariot variation. Now in the other sections, the edge cannon for chariot defense system, the high chariot to protect horse variation, the left riverbank horse variation have all been discussed, and these, although they are considered a mainstay of the P7+1 opening system, nevertheless in these next few bots we will be going through some rather famous gambits and traps. So in this bot, instead of P7 H7+6 or H8 C8 equals to 9, black would go with A4+5. Now this would be very enticing. Black would actually dare Red to play R2 equals to 3 to attack his horse, and the main reason behind this move is that Black is prepared to sacrifice this horse to fight for the initiative and to attack. Now Red would usually play H8+7. He will bide his time, develop his left flank, and not be in the rush to play R2 equals to 3. Now another commonly used attack will be C8 equals to 7 for the 5/7 cannons. Black will continue protecting. He is bent on sacrificing this horse. P7+1, P7+6, P7+1. And this would be a very complicated situation. Both colors would have the advantages that they will be attacking. So now if the pawn captured, Black could capture the cannon because there's always a check to gain material over here. So this is a rather complicated situation. So if after C8 equals to 7, E3+5, if it's still a P7+1, Red decided the time was right to play R2 equals to 3. Black will gladly sacrifice material by playing C2 equals to 6, hoping to traverse the cannon across the river and to attack. Black's position will be very powerful, and he will be well prepared to go for a counter attack. So C8 equals to 7 is sometimes seen in actual play, but more commonly seen will be H8+7. And Black continues to beef up his defense on the central file. He is still eager to entice Red to play R2 equals to 3. Now this variation became very popular back in the 1960s, and it was believed to have been inspired by one of the bots in the ancient manual, Invincible, after coming out of the training in the caves. Now Black would deliberately leave his left horse hanging, and he will now be prepared to sacrifice material to mount a rapid attack. Now this opening system is very popular with players with a very aggressive disposition. I like to play a little bit aggressive, and I love playing this as Black because the room for error is tight, and usually the game is over very soon for either color if a small mistake was made. So in the first board 43, red would accept and play r2 equals to 3 to attack the horse. This is also a signature that red was also an aggressive player, so it will be an aggressive game for both colors. And just after 7 plies, the situation on the board will become intensified. So red will usually counter c2 equals to 4. Now this is perhaps the most commonly used counter. The idea would be that black would sacrifice his horse, play this move, and then attack, capture the pawn, so that he could attack the chariot over here. Notice that after playing r2 equals 3, the chariot will become closed and there will not be very good. He can only move here or here at this point in time. Now of course the chariot could move to safety, but black will be compensated with a furious attack with 2 cannons and 1 chariot on this flank. So this would be black's compensation, and things would greatly intensify. Now in the past, c8 plus 6 was also seen, but if c8 plus 6 was played, red could play r9 equals to 1 to prevent the cannon from playing c8 equals to 7. And if he captured the horse, we can see that now the chariot cannot move here. It will be captured by the advisor. It cannot move here. The chariot, it cannot move here, or the elephant will capture it. So it can only advance or retreat. So it becomes a closed chariot. And red will gladly make this move. h3 minus 5, and then black would now attack this file, and he would have the initiative again. Red will be prepared to charge the pawn forward, etc. He could develop his chariot, and the presence of the red horse at the centroid would become a huge issue for red. And I've played this position as red before. It's very terrible, and the pressure is quite tremendous. So if r9 plus 1 to try to dislodge or prevent the cannon from making mischief, red will immediately mobilize his other chariot as a kingside chariot, which is the idea behind the a4 plus 5 and e3 plus 5. Capture. And now black would suddenly change his direction of attack and cement this chariot and prevent it from moving. So red will gain material, but obviously black is compensated with the initiative. Black can now attack at will, and red would have to use at least 1 or 2 moves to move this chariot to a better position, and this chariot would also need another 1 to 2 moves. So black loses a piece but gains a lot of tempo. So this concept is perhaps especially useful for players with a background in chess, because the mechanics of Xiangqi are much different. So c8 plus 6 is also played in the past, but the situation become complicated. But nowadays, c2 plus 4 is played for this position of discussion, and there are 2 main variations that will be discussed. The first would be p5 plus 1, whereby black prevents red from c2 equals to 7 by simply moving the cannon mount away. The other would be to move p3 plus 1. Now the following moves will become very complicated very quickly. Variation A. In variation A, red charges the central pawn forward, but in retrospect this would appear to be a reckless move, although red would be able to attack the central file and then move his horse or develop his horse from the central file. But black can easily exploit this situation. The main reason is because black will continue with r1 equals to 4, and he will be prepared to play r4 plus 6 to control red's pawn rank. And once the chariot was able to reach here, the horses would still have a lot of trouble trying to be developed. So let's say red decides to capture the horse. Black immediately starts his counter. Again, he would be prepared to attack the pawn, and the best move would be for red to move his chariot away. Now, this is perhaps the best move for red in this situation. Now, there were 3 other sub-variations that were discussed in the book. Let's say if red tried to trade material, this is not a good idea because the remaining material would be very weak. So black would not be in a hurry. He would play r4 equals to 3 to prevent the horse from moving. And after trading, instead of capturing the cannon, he will capture this horse and still be able to fork both material, the cannon and the horse, and thus claim back lost material. And as can be seen, after trading material, the position of the black pieces would be much superior to red's, and red would be in all sorts of trouble. If p3 plus 1 were played, r4 plus 3, so red retreats, and black would now push his other cannon across the river for a full-scale assault. Now black would be prepared to play c8 equals to 5 to pin the horse, and red will be in all sorts of trouble. This chariot will still need at least 1 or 2 moves to be maneuvered to an open line. So what about h3 minus 5 in this situation, whereby black shows some compromise and retreats the horse, so that if need be, he could always there's always a potential attack by moving the cannon away, so that he could capture and trade chariots. Let us see. Black could move the chariot out of harm's way and counterpin the 2 horses. Red tries to play c5 equals to 2 to adjust his formation, but it will be too late. Black could niftily play c8 equals to 9. Red needs to move his chariot out of safety. So because red wanted to capture the black horse, he used up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves out of 12 moves just to move this chariot. So the loss in tempo is quite considerable. Red attacks, and after sacrificing a horse, black gets to pin, gets to apply a lot of pressure on red's side of the board, and as can be seen, red's formation is less than desirable, so he has much more potential for attack, and black can be satisfied or happy with this outcome. So that is why perhaps the best move would be simply to move the chariot away to safety, and red will continue with c8 plus 3 for a very powerful and alert attack. Now this move is very powerful in the sense that, first of all, black cannot afford to allow red to play r3 equals to 2, because otherwise the chariot and the cannon will be pinned by 1 red piece with little room for maneuvering. So another move is that if you play r4 equals to 3, red will also play r3 equals to 2, and this is something that black cannot afford to happen. So let us see. You can see after moving, black will be in all sorts of trouble. So even if you play c2 equals to 7, again r3 equals to 2, even though black might capture the elephant and attack, but there will be not much that he can do, and on the flip side of the coin, his right flank will become empty. So c8 plus 3 is a very vigilant move, whereby not only r3 equals to 2 is not viable now. If red tried to push the pawn, the cannon will bomb and capture the central pawn to deliver a check. So r3 equals to 4. Black starts his campaign attacking. Black retreats, p7 plus 1. Black actually goes for sacrifice. He is intent on capturing the central pawn. And after a series of unrelenting attacks, black would now claim an advantage, even though he was 1 piece down. So this is quite desirable for black. As can be seen, play is very fast, the pace is fast and furious, and there's little room for error. Now the black cannon would now actually pin red's cannon and horse to the central file. So 2 major pieces pinned by 1, that would more than compensate for the loss of the horse. So let us go to variation B. Variation B will be p3 plus 1. Okay. Now In variation B's p3 plus 1, again black would deny red from capturing the pawn to attack his chariot. So you sacrifice, and it would be better for red to capture the horse than the pawn at this point in time, because if he chose to capture the pawn, the horse would be freed and all his earlier efforts would have been made in vain, because the chariot moved to the riverbank. Even though red could try to capture the horse, but as mentioned earlier, black was simply intent on sacrificing this horse, so he would attack with c8 equals to 7 to target the elephant. And once the elephant was captured, the chariot would attack and red would be in all sorts of trouble. p3 plus 1, and in the nick of time, the black chariot would be able to be maneuvered to the riverbank to protect the horse. And as can be seen, after 11 plies, red would not only have failed in gaining material, he would have allowed black to rebound from his situation and actually command some of the important intersections on the board. So that is why r3 equals to 2 is not a good idea. Instead, r7 plus 1. And black would immediately charge the pawn forward, who should be protected by the cannon over here. It will immediately threaten the red horse and also the palace, and the cannon not long after. So how should red deal with this threat? The best move would be h3 minus 5. Although this would give the impression that red was taking a detour, he was in a compromised position, but this move can actually strengthen red's defense on this side of the board. If he chose to move h7 plus 6 to sacrifice material, because after sacrificing material, the cannon and chariot will now be targeting the elephant. Black would be more than happy to gain back lost material, as he would be faster in drawing the first blood, attacking the bottom rank. Red plays r9 equals to 8, but black would now be prepared to play c2 equals to 9. And after playing c2 equals to 9, he could always continue with r9. Let's say red made another move or whatever. Sorry, this is not. Sorry. Let's say red played another move. Let's say black will be prepared to push the cannons and capture the chariot. Or there's also a move to capture the elephant. So black will be attacking, and he'll be faster than red in the ensuing kill. So h7 plus 6 is not a good idea. h3 plus 5 would be better, because you offer protection to the elephants, and also the cannons will still be linked for defense. Again, black attacks the bottom rank, and red counters with p5 plus 1. Now this is perhaps the better method of play. In the past, c5 equals to 2 was played as red tries to form a barrier, preventing the chariot from advancing to attack. But if this was so, the other chariot will be maneuvered into action. Let's say red plays p9 plus 1, hoping to capture the black cannon with r9 plus 3. Red will attack and then threaten to checkmate, forcing the cannon away. And black would simply sacrifice this cannon, hoping to play r8 equals to 6 for a checkmate. Of course, red would not allow that to happen, but in the process of doing so, black would still sacrifice his cannon, as he would simply target the advisor instead. Now if e7 plus 5, red would gain this cannon. So let's say red tried to defend, but black would simply be very aggressive and play c8 equals to 6, as he continued to sacrifice all his material. So at this point in time, this would be a very troubled position for red, as he will be under attack from all sides. So p5 plus 1 is perhaps the better way, and black would immediately play r8 plus 8. Now this is an enticing move. The idea is to trick or force red to play c8 equals to -1, so that his cannon rank would now not the cannons would not be linked, and his cannon rank will become become weakened, because if red did not play, black could play r8 equals to 6 to threaten to checkmate, and the cannons would be getting in each other's way, getting in the way of the horse, and red cannot move his horse away in time to resolve this checkmate. Now of course red could also play c8 plus r8 plus 6 to protect his pawn to attack, and there will still be many tactical opportunities for black, but that is also a possible line, but r8 plus 8 was discussed in the book. However, one move that should not be made would be c2 equals to 9, because as can be seen, because the cannons are linked, red will be able to defend in this manner. p9 plus 1, r1 plus 4, and red, once the chariot was over here, you could threaten, and red could continue with h5 plus 3 to force a trade of material to relieve some pressure, and black's attack will now be grinded to a halt. So c2 equals 9 cannot be played, and red must make this move. Now if red decided to capture the pawn, c9 equals 3 would happen, and the black cannons would now be a terrifying force, because let's say red tried to capture this cannon, because this elephant was protected by the horse. Black could bomb and capture the advisor and be prepared. Let's say, okay, the black makes this move. This will be a check or whatever. You could also black will be forced to make this move, and he could protect the cannon, etc. And the chariot could come into attack, etc. Again, black will be all sorts of trouble. There's always a threat of c6 equals to 4 for a discover check to capture the chariot. That is why e7 plus 9 must be played. So c5 minus equals to 1 should be played. Again, c2 equals 9 is not a good idea. So we will be coming to the end of this board. Red is forced to retreat the cannon, dislodging the chariot, and now red plays p9 plus 1 as he hopes to play r9 plus 3 to dislodge the cannon. c2 equals to 6. At this point, it will be a two-way situation. Red will have the material advantage, but it's fairly obvious that it will be black that is attacking all the way, and red will still have to use up at least one move to move this chariot to an open line where it could be more effective. So as mentioned earlier, black was bent on sacrificing this horse to try to gain other forms of compensation and to further his game. And I hope you like this sacrifice a lot, because I love playing this game, the variation as black. Now let us go through this board as black, from the eyes of black. Okay, central cannon, screen horse defense, p7 plus 1 variation, p7 plus 1 variation, and the pawn rank chariot. Again, you must be suspicious when black entices you to play r2 equals to 3, because he will be bent on sacrificing the horse very early. The next move would be h8 plus 7 and e3 plus 5 to further cement once the defense on the central file is up. Black would not have to fear any attacks from the center by the cannon temporarily. r2 equals to 3. In this board, red would play r2 equals to 3 as he was not afraid and was intent on capturing the horse. So again, right cannon moves across the river. If left cannon is also viable, but again, this would be a complicated situation. Both colors will have their scruples. So c2 plus 4, the idea is to capture c2 equals 7 to threaten the chariot and attack the elephant, so that these two pieces can also join in the attack on this flank. Now in variation A, p5 plus 1 is played to prevent c2 equals to 7 from happening. Now this is not a good idea, even though red will appear to be attacking the central file. But as can be seen, black had already upped his defenses, and there was nothing that he needed to worry about. When equals to 4, kingside chariot, capture, and again at the expense of the horse, black would be compensated by very well development, comparatively speaking, of his chariot and cannon, and there's also always the threat of capturing c2 equals to 7. And note that the cannon has no way, the chariot cannot traverse because this intersection is covered by the advisor. Obviously, the chariot is protecting the cannon, and if e3 plus 1, the elephant will capture it. So it can only advance or retreat and be threatened by the cannon. And for beginners, capturing the pawn is not viable because the elephant has it protected. So r3 plus 1, gaining material, but using up 2 or 3 moves just to move the chariot would perhaps be the best bet for red at this point. Now if c5 plus 1, black would gain back lost material and still have a very open position to make his moves. If p3 plus 1, again red will be forced to have a centroid horse, and again the chariot still cannot move, and black will be attacking at the expense of 1 horse. Variation D, h3 minus 5, again at the expense of 1 horse, black will be attacking, applying a lot of pressure. The prospects of red being able to develop this material would become very bleak. So r3 minus 1 is perhaps the best bet, and black would be very vigilant and play c8 plus 3 because this is a must-make move. If not, if h4 plus c4 equals to 3 or c2 equals to 7, there's always r3 equals to 2, and black's earlier sacrifice would have been made in vain. h3 plus 4, attack, capturing the central pawn. As can be seen, the cannon is almighty. It is prepared. It has controlled the central file, and although red had gained a piece, he doesn't look to be in very good shape. Variation B, p3 plus 1, refusing c2 equals to 7 again, p7 plus 1, and red captures. If he captured the pawn, the horse would be let out in time, and red's earlier moves would have been made in vain, and he will lose 10 pi. p7 plus 1, h3 minus 5. Now if red tried to counter-sacrifice the horse with h7 plus 6, after sacrificing, although red cannon and the red chariot will be threatening the elephant, black would be faster in drawing blood. h8 plus 7, black finally manages to realize his plans of attacking the bottom rank. So p5 plus 1, this is a better method of play. If c5 equals to 2, red will just simply sacrifice whatever he has so that his chariots and pawn will now go for the checkmate. r8 plus 8, again preparing to play r8 equals to 6 for the checkmate. If c2 plus 9, red could be given a slight breather, and black's efforts would have not been as fruitful as they should be. So r8 plus 8, forcing the cannon to retreat, thus weakening the defense by the cannons on the cannon rank. p9 plus 1, and at this point it will be a two-way situation. Reds would have an extra piece, but black's attack is simply fast and furious, and there could be nothing much that red could do about it. So if the game were to continue if red were able to survive the mid game, he might have a chance going to the end game because of his material superiority. So again, this is a very intense game and a very fun variation to play as black. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly long-winded video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up.